So apparently now Caitlin Clark is washed. Yep, according to former NBA players, WNBA opponents, and media talking heads, the number one pick, the record breaker, the walking highlight reel, has been figured out. She's a one-trick pony. She's not even worth game planning for anymore.
Hasn't been overly complimentary of Indiana Fever's superstar Caitlin Clark. During a December 23rd episode of Club 520, Teague weighed in about debate between WNBA players faring against NBA players. Quote, Caitlin Clark would not score a point on Bronny James, bro. She might not even get a shot off.
Former NBA player Jeff Teague just lit a firestorm with some wild comments about Caitlin Clark's injury struggles, and fans are completely losing it. The reaction, instant and unforgiving. People are wondering if he's just lost it, or if there's something more going on beneath the surface. And honestly, the timing couldn't have been worse. It makes you think, what goes through your mind when former players start taking shots at today's stars, especially when they are already battling through injuries?
You're starting to get even more disrespect from the WNBA players, and now from somebody that has actually supported her in the past and talked her up in the past. I'm talking about former NBA player Jeff Teague. He has come out and said the WNBA has figured out Caitlin Clark. Have they figured her out, or has Stephanie White basically put the handcuffs on what is really should be?
So Jeff Teague thought this was the perfect moment to kick someone while they are already down. And honestly, the audacity is almost impressive. Caitlin Clark is out here battling injury issues that have already sidelined her from multiple games. And Teague's grand contribution to the basketball world? Calling her one-trick pony who's already been figured out by the league. But let me walk you through the full picture of what he actually said, because trust me, it only gets worse with context. On his Club 520 podcast, Teague didn't just toss out one offhand comment. He launched into a full-on rant. He claimed Caitlin Clark can't go left, only steps back going left, and only drives going right. And according to his expert breakdown, the entire WNBA has apparently already solved the puzzle of stopping the most electrifying player in women's basketball.
Yeah. I'm telling y'all, bruh, they ain't figured her out. That one-trick pony, no disrespect, but she can't go left. She only shoots step backs going left, and she drive going right.
She injured. She only playing the same place, so she was playing the All-Star game next week.
Respect.
Just keeping it real. Mercury took care of the Leafs yesterday, 79-71.
I love it. Y'all ride for y'all home team. I love it. I just ride. I ride with what's right.
Nah.
But here's where it gets really rich. This is the same Jeff Teague who, earlier this year, was out here making even more outrageous claims, saying Caitlin wouldn't score a single point against Bronny James in a one-on-one matchup.
Well, Jeff Teague, former NBA player, on the Club 520 podcast he is a part of, had some very strong words about this hypothetical matchup. In fact, he said Caitlin Clark would not score against.
He literally said she might not even get a shot off, that Bronny would beat her 200-0. And then, as if that wasn't enough, he doubled down and claimed even Bryce James would run up the same score on her.
Win LeBron, they 1-on-1.
Caitlin would not score a point on Bronny, bro. She would. She might not even get a
So
shot.
Bronny's
bro.
beating Asia?
Yes. He gonna kill Asia. I swear to God, Bronny would destroy her, bro. Y'all are crazy.
Nah, DJ's bugging.
Bro, he would beat her 20-0, bro.
How much y'all think the world would pay to see Bronny versus CC?
Bro, he would beat her by 60, bro. He would legit beat her 20-0. Bryce James would beat her 20-0.
He got Caitlin Clark. I don't know if he get Asia.
He would beat her.
He can't be
They're
Asia.
the same size.
That's my whole point.
Not biased either.
Are y'all serious right now? He's 10 times more athletic than her. He can do everything better than her. She a girl, bro. Like, he physically way more, like, imposing. She a hooper, like, but no, bro, that is a man.
So we're dealing with someone who's clearly been holding onto some interesting opinions about women's basketball for a while now. But it's the timing of these latest comments that really puts his character, or the lack of it, on full display. Caitlin Clark's been pushing through what was first called a quad injury, but later turned out to be groin issues that have seriously limited her mobility and shooting. She's already missed 5 games this season because of these lower body setbacks. And honestly, anyone with even a shred of basketball sense knows just how much that kind of injury can impact a player's performance.
Gotta be serious right now, Jeff Teague. You got a rookie. Well, this is her second year in the WNBA. Still fresh. She went straight from college right into the WNBA. No breaks in between. You got a rookie 22 games into her WNBA season on a jacked up roster with a coach who's treating her like a role player. And this is what you come.
But apparently, Jeff Teague sees a player battling through injury and thinks, you know what? Now's the perfect time to tear her down and question her entire skill set. Real class of move, Jeff. And that one-trick pony comment, it's especially ridiculous when you actually break down Caitlin Clark's game. This is someone who led the entire nation in assists during college, while also being the leading scorer. She sets up her teammates with elite-level vision. She finishes at the rim, and yes, she just so happens to be the best long-range shooter in all of women's basketball. But sure, Jeff, she's a one-trick pony because she has a go-to move that works. By that logic, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a one-trick pony with his skyhook. Dirk Nowitzki was a one-trick pony with his fadeaway. Michael Jordan, just another one-trick pony with his turnaround jumper. The truth is, great players develop signature moves for a reason, because even when the defense knows it's coming, they still can't stop it. Caitlin's step-back three going left? That's not a weakness. That's a weapon, one that's nearly impossible to defend when she's healthy.
Other thing that a lot of people, I believe, are overlooking here. But let's start with Enrique, because they've got a game coming up.
And let's talk about the timing of Teague's comments in light of her injury situation. Medical experts have been clear. Groin and quad injuries are especially tough for basketball players because they impact everything. Your shooting mechanics get thrown off. Your burst of speed takes a hit. Your side-to-side movement weakens. And your entire rhythm gets shaken. So here's Caitlin Clark, clearly pushing through all of that, struggling with her shot. And what does Jeff Teague do? He takes that struggle and twists it into some kind of proof that she's been figured out by the league. It's like watching a sprinter limp through a race on a sprained ankle and saying, yeah, their form's off. The reaction from fans, swift, brutal, and honestly, deserved. People are calling out the total lack of class it takes to go after someone while they're clearly battling through an injury. And others, they're starting to wonder if this is personal, because with Teague, the questionable comments about Caitlin Clark are starting to look a lot like a pattern.
Guys, this is just going to keep getting worse. Until Caitlin's able to get fully healthy, which I contend she's not. The media is about to be a bunch of wolves, and they're fixing to come after Caitlin.
But here's what really hits me about all of this. It's part of a bigger pattern we've seen play out all season long. Every time Caitlin Clark hits a bump in the road, whether it's her shooting, chemistry with teammates, or battling through injuries, there's always this wave of voices that suddenly pop up, eager to call her overrated or claim the league's figured her out. It's like they are just lying in wait, ready to tear down the most accomplished women's basketball player we've seen in years the moment she shows any vulnerability. And when an * former NBA player * jumps on that same bandwagon, it stings even more, because he should * no * better. He should understand firsthand how much injuries can derail performance. And on top of that, Teague's so-called analysis completely ignores the bigger picture. Caitlin's been playing in a system with the Indiana Fever that doesn't fully tap into what makes her great. The offensive schemes haven't played to her strengths. The ball movement has been shaky, and she's had to adjust to a style that's miles away from what fueled her dominance in college.
Clark has struggled on the court for much of the last month, which includes her missing 5 games due to a groin injury. And this seems to have convinced Jeff Teague that the rest of the league has learned how to slow her down, which he asserted in a July 10th episode of Club 520. Quote, "I'm telling y'all, bruh, they have figured her out," Teague said of Clark. She's a one-trick.
But instead of recognizing any of those factors, Teague just boils it all down to, she's been figured out. It's lazy analysis, the kind that completely brushes past the real complexity of pro basketball and the uphill climb even the most talented players face during the transition. And that comparison he made to Sabrina Ionescu? It says a lot about how surface level his understanding really is. When asked to pick between Caitlin and Sabrina, he immediately said he'd take Sabrina. And sure, that's a valid opinion on its own. But context matters. Sabrina's playing on the defending champion Liberty, surrounded by a solid system and veteran leadership. Meanwhile, Caitlin's trying to find her footing on a rebuilding Fever squad that's facing challenges on every level. It's like comparing a quarterback's numbers on the Chiefs to someone playing for a brand new expansion team, and then deciding the guy on the Chiefs must just be better. Context matters, but apparently not to Jeff Teague. What makes his figured-out narrative so frustrating is how it completely overlooks what we've actually seen from Caitlin Clark when she's healthy and in rhythm. Even this season, when she's been given the freedom to play her natural game, the results have been nothing short of spectacular. The issue isn't that she's been solved. It's that she's been battling through injuries and trying to operate within a system that doesn't suit her strengths. And that groin injury, it explains so much about the shooting struggles people keep pointing to. Anyone who's ever dealt with that kind of injury knows it disrupts everything. Your shooting form shifts, your balance falters, and your confidence, it takes a hit too, because suddenly you can't trust your body the way you used to. But instead of acknowledging any of that, Teague chooses to twist her struggles into some kind of proof that she's overrated, that she's not really as good as people think. It's the kind of take you expect from a Twitter troll, not a guy who spent over a decade playing in the NBA. The can't go left criticism, it's downright laughable to anyone who's actually watched Caitlin Clark play consistently. She drives left, dishes passes with her left hand, and creates plays going both directions regularly. Just because her go-to step back leans left doesn't mean she can't go that way. It means she's crafted a signature move that delivers results. Every elite scorer in basketball history has had directional preferences, favorite moves. That's not a flaw. That's basketball IQ. It's strategy. Even Teague, during his own career, had his own set of tendencies and preferred actions. But somehow, when Caitlin Clark does the same thing, it's painted as a weakness. That double standard says a lot. And the bigger picture here can't be ignored. We're in a moment where women's basketball is seeing explosive, unprecedented growth. And much of that momentum, it's being driven by Caitlin Clark and the spotlight she's brought to the game. She's brought in new fans, boosted TV ratings, and lifted the entire WNBA onto a bigger stage. And then here comes Jeff Teague, a former player who once benefited from the platform and spotlight that basketball gave him, using his platform to tear down the very person who's now doing more for the game's growth than almost anyone else. It's not just short-sighted, it's flat-out ungrateful. And with the injury context, the timing of Teague's remarks looks even worse. Groin injuries are notoriously difficult to manage in basketball. They affect nearly every movement a player makes. A lot of athletes try to push through them, but that only leads to other parts of the body compensating, which drags out the recovery even longer. And for someone like Caitlin Clark, who depends on precision, quick footwork, and rhythm in her shooting mechanics, this kind of injury hits harder than most. Her entire game hinges on split-second timing and controlled movement, all of which gets thrown off when you're playing through pain. But instead of understanding how much that can derail even an elite athlete, Teague twists her struggle into a talking point, claiming it's proof that she's been exposed that it's like criticizing a violinist's technique while they're performing with a broken finger. And fans? They're not having it. The backlash to Teague's comments has been loud and relentless, with many calling out not just the terrible timing, but the sheer lack of professionalism. A lot of people are starting to question whether his so-called analysis is really just personal bias disguised as basketball insight. Some are even wondering if there's a deeper issue at play, because this isn't the first time Teagues made dismissive remarks about women's basketball. His earlier claims that WNBA players couldn't hold their own against NBA players already rubbed people the wrong way. And now, these latest shots at Caitlin Clark are starting to look like part of a bigger, more troubling pattern. And let's not forget, this whole figured-out narrative also conveniently ignores one key truth. Even when teams know what Caitlin Clark is trying to do, they often still can't stop her. And that's exactly what separates a good player from a great one, that when your signature moves still work, even when defenders know they're coming, that's the mark of a truly elite player. During her college career, every single team in the country knew Caitlin Clark loved to pull up from deep and create for her teammates. They built entire defensive schemes around stopping those exact things. And yet, she's still dominated at the highest level of college basketball. So the idea that professional teams have suddenly unlocked some hidden blueprint to shut her down, it's just absurd. What's really going on is simpler and far more honest. She's been battling injuries and playing in a system that doesn't fully fit her game. And once those hurdles are behind her, chances are we'll see the same version of Caitlin Clark who lit the college world on fire. But Teague's take completely ignores something else just as important: growth. Young players evolve. They adapt. That's what the best do as they gain experience. Caitlin's only in her second year as a pro, and if history has taught us anything, it's that the great ones keep adding layers to their game over time. So to write her off now, before she's even had 2 full seasons, isn't just premature. It's flat out dishonest that IT points to one of 2 things: either a fundamental misunderstanding of how players develop, or deliberate attempt to downplay everything Caitlin Clark has accomplished. And in all of this, the injury factor can't be emphasized enough. Lower body injuries don't just slow you down. They impact everything: your shot mechanics, your mobility, your balance, your explosiveness, even your confidence. When you're not sure if your body's going to respond the way it usually does, hesitation creeps in. And for a player like Caitlin, whose entire game depends on crisp footwork and lightning-fast decisions, that kind of uncertainty can be crippling. So yeah, her shooting struggles this season, they make total sense when you realize she's been pushing through lingering lower body issues. But apparently, to Jeff Teague, none of that context matters. Not when there's an easy, lazy headline to grab. In Jeff Teague's world, it seems like any struggle automatically means a player has been figured out, no matter what real-life factors might be causing those struggles. And the fact that he chose to make these remarks right as Caitlin Clark is clearly battling through injuries. It's not just tone deaf, it's a blatant show of poor judgment and a surprising lack of basketball insight, which is especially disappointing coming from someone who's spent over a decade in the league. But what really adds fuel to the fire is that Teague's platform gives his takes more influence than they deserve. When a former NBA player speaks, people listen, even if what he's saying is biased, shallow, or just flat out wrong. And that's where the real harm starts to show. Because this isn't just about one bad opinion. Comments like these create ripple effects. They shape narratives, mislead casual fans, and chip away at the credibility and respect that players like Caitlin Clark have worked so hard to earn. They feed into this toxic culture, one where people seem all too eager to tear down successful women's basketball players, especially the ones who manage to break through and find that rare kind of crossover success the way Caitlin Clark has. And here's the heartbreaking part. For the young girls watching, the ones who see Caitlin as a hero and a role model, hearing a former NBA player dismiss her as a one-trick pony sends a damaging message. It tells them that no matter how hard you work, no matter how much you accomplish, the moment you struggle, even if it's due to an injury, people will line up to take shots at you. That instead of support or grace, you'll be met with ridicule. And that's a message we shouldn't be sending. Especially not from someone who knows firsthand what it's like to battle through the highs and lows of a professional career. Jeff Teague's figured out comment isn't just bad analysis. It's a reflection of everything that's broken in the way we talk about athletes, especially women. In today's sports discourse, they couldn't have come at a worse time, completely off the mark, stripped of context, and showing just how little Teague seems to grasp about what makes elite players truly great. And fans saw right through it. The backlash was swift, loud, and absolutely warranted. People are calling out the lack of professionalism, the shallow analysis, and the overall tone-deaf nature of his comments. Hopefully, moments like this make former players think twice before dragging current stars, especially ones battling through real adversity. Because when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, Caitlin Clark's resume speaks volumes. She's delivered at every level she's played. An injury slump doesn't erase that. Not even close. And while Jeff Teague's opinion might make headlines, it doesn't change the facts. It just chips away at his own credibility as someone who's supposed to understand the game. His timing couldn't have been worse. When a former pro chooses to pile on instead of offering perspective, it doesn't reflect their insight. It reveals their character. What's your take on players criticizing injured athletes? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to hit that like